Surviving the elements is a monumental task in itself, and in such an unforgiving game like Sons of the Forest, it can be the difference between life and death if you can get any leg up in the world. Luckily, there is a special artifact that now can be fully formed thanks to the latest 1.0 update to the game, and you need to find all 7 pieces to create the final product. But where do you find these pieces? And once you do, what can the artifact do for you? In this guide, we will showcase the location of each artifact piece and what happens when you combine all 7. Before we begin, it's worth noting that in order to put all of the pieces together at the end, you will had to have beaten the game and chosen to stay on the island. You will not be able to combine all the pieces and get the finished product unless you do this first. So if you haven't already, make sure to end the game and opt to stay on the mutant-infested island. The first artifact piece can be found within the cave that is also home to the rebreather. This cave can be found right here on the large-scale map and here on your in-game GPS. For those who spawned on the beach rather than the mountains or the forest, this spot is a breeze to get to. The entrance is right here, kind of tucked away into the large rock face, and once inside, make sure to loot the air tank if you do decide to grab the rebreather while you're already here. We would recommend getting the rebreather now, as you're going to need it for a few more of the artifact pieces later on. Now that you have looted the ground in the beginning of the cave entrance, start to take the pathway that you found to the left of the laptop, and follow it straight down until you come to the first fork in the road. You are going to need to make a right at this fork, as the left will bring you to the rebreather. This area has quite a few mutants within it, so be sure to bring a weapon with you unless you want to meet a very wet and cruel fate inside the depths of this cave. Continue straight on until you come to the second fork. You will now want to take a left where you will come across a boarded up entryway. Break the boards down with your axe, and continue forward. You will see a rope that is going to take you very far down into this cave. Once at the bottom of the rope, you will see crosses hanging pretty much everywhere. Keep going until you see skeletons hanging from the cave ceiling, and make yet another left. Here is another set of boards to break, which will lead you to the artifact room. Run straight, turn left, and boom! There is the first artifact piece. The second piece will be found within the same cave as the rope gun, which is found here on the map and here on the in-game GPS. This cave is a straight shot almost from the rebreather cave, heading northeast from that location and running until you come upon this little area which is lower than the rest of the ground. You will see the cave entrance covered up with boards, per the usual, where you will enter. Once inside, head straight towards the torch on the ground. Again, be sure to loot whatever you can along the way. You will see a pathway to the right, which leads to a little stream, and you're going to follow it to this massive cave area. There are a lot of mutants in here, so be cautious and make sure you have a good weapon with you for this cave. Once within this large cavern and safe from the mutants within, you will see a path down to the cave floor on the right-hand side. Take it and make a sharp left. Almost a full turn, right at the end of the pathway. You will see more boards to break down. Break them and continue towards the bones on the floor. Next to a hanging skeleton will be a rope down further into the cave. Take it and follow the path down into the water. You do not need the rebreather here, but it sure does help if you tend to get lost underneath the water. At the bottom of the rope, turn completely around from the original direction you're facing, where you will see several hanging crosses yet again. Here will be a small tunnelway under the water. Take it and you'll know you're headed in the right direction when you see even more crosses underneath the water. Take this tunnel straight and climb up the left side of the pathway, which leads to another barricaded door. Break it down and head to the left pathway to reach the second artifact piece in the center of the cave. Piece number 3 is going to be found inside of the same cave as the pickaxe, hence the nickname the Pickaxe Cave, which some players might already be familiar with if they played prior to the 1.0 release. The easiest way to get here is to simply follow the water line from the rebreather cave and look for an entryway upwards towards the snowy mountains. But we happened to find a glider along the way, so we used that to get a little closer instead. Now, this is where you will need to run on the large-scale map, and here is the cave entrance on the in-game GPS. You're going to see a hole in the ground that has a rope hanging beneath the rock face. Climb down this rope and into the cave depths. There are plenty of mutants in here ready to chomp on your remains, so be equipped and ready for several fights along the way. Now here's where things can get a bit confusing, as this cave is a bit hard to traverse due to the random ledges and caverns that you could easily fall down to your death. You are going to turn the opposite direction of the climbing rope you just came from and run straight. Make a quick right when you see the hanging skeletons and follow the the water straight down. Be careful of the waterfall though, as you can easily slip and do some damage to your health. On the right side of the falls, there's a pathway that will lead you safely down. Take this pathway, and this is where the rebreather tank really comes into play. Swim down under the cave walls and continue straight until you see that there is an opening above you to swim towards the surface. You will pass a few skeletons along the way, which tells you that you're going to the right spot. Once you hit the surface, you will see a path straight ahead that leads to another boarded up pathway. Break the boards and continue straight until you reach a rope leading even further down. Watch your feet or you will fall pretty far. Make sure to use the rope instead. Now go straight again and follow this path all the way until you reach even more hanging crosses. Through those crosses is a very large crevasse in the ground, so hug the right side in order to cross safely. Keep hugging the right through the rocks, then turn fully into the area with more hanging crosses. Follow this path until you reach yet another rope down. Take the rope down, and you're in the artifact room. Head straight and to the right where there will be a rocky pathway to climb up to reach the artifact. Now you have piece number 3. Both piece 4 and 6 can be found within this cave, but sadly, we didn't know that until after the fact. If you enter through the golden armor entrance, you're able to get piece number 6 on our list on the way to number 4, as the piece for number 4 is actually at the cave exit of the golden armor cave. We are going to start with piece number 4, which can be found here on the GPS, and here on the large-scale map. The Golden Armor Cave itself is found on the southern end of the map, so this is going to be a bit of a trek to get to. Once you enter, you're gonna see a skeleton sitting on a chair. Directly to his left-hand side, there is a small pool of water. Jump right into the water and follow the passage. Come out of the water and head straight, then make a right. The cave really only leads in one direction here, so follow it until you find a fork in the road. You are going to want to go left, not right into the small cavern, and keep going forward until you reach the boarded up entrances. Break them both down and continue straight. Go through this golden hallway and make a left at the fork in the cave. After you follow this little pathway down, there will be a set of rocks leading directly up to the artifact piece on the right side. Take it up and collect the 4th piece. To grab piece number 5, you are going to head to this cave on the GPS and right here on the large scale map. This is actually underneath the ground inside of this building, so you will need to use an axe to break away both the doors to the building and the entrance to the cave underneath. Once the boards are broken, head down into the basement and head straight until you come across even more boards. Break them down and head down the rope at the end of the tunnel. You will land in the water after taking the rope, and that's okay. Just swim out by making a 180 and continue forward. The only way to go is up. So you're going to follow this path until you reach, you guessed it, more boards. Break them down and follow the path deeper into the cave. Break the next set of boards and continue straight until you see the rope down, which is next to some hanging skeletons. At the bottom of the rope, do another 180, where you will immediately see the artifact in between those who have turned to gold, trying to take it for themselves. This is actually the entrance to the Golden Armor Cave, which is where piece number 4 is located, but all the way at the exit of this cave. The cave is absolutely massive, and piece 6 is the most tedious to obtain. You are going to want to head right here on the GPS and here on the large-scale map. Once you head inside, you will head straight into this little tunnel area. Keep going straight until you see the markings on the cave wall. Then head to the right of these markings and follow the path straight into the room with Solifite glowing on the walls. You're gonna want to hug the right side, as not only are there several mutants in here, but there is a rock path that leads up to where we need to go. Take the path into the glowing Solifite area and continue straight along the pathway. This will lead to a pool of water, which we're gonna want to dive into and follow into the next cave area. The path is extremely straightforward, so it's kind of hard to get lost or turned around under here. Once you emerge from the water, there will be 2 ways to go. You are going to want to do a complete 180 and face the torch and Solifite in the distance. If you follow the cave straight, you will come to the room with the rifle. So if you want to grab that while you're here, go ahead. But for the artifact piece, we are going to go the opposite direction of the rifle, where there is yet another rope to climb upward this time. Climb the rope and go straight through another golden tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, keep going straight and down into the cave. At the fork, make a right and follow the golden column all the way that's wrapped around. Break the boards down and continue forward until you find a large hole in the floor. You are going to slide down this tunnel very fast into the water. Once in the water, simply follow it straight until you see a torch on the ground, then make a right. Basically, just keep following these golden columns until you reach a room with more boards. Break them and take the rope downward. Follow the path until you reach yet another fork, make a right, where you'll find more water. Swim to this area here at the end of the water and then dive straight down. It's hard to miss since it's glowing with Solifite. Follow this passage under the water until you reach the other side. Continue straight, and you'll start to hear that familiar crack of lightning from the artifact piece. You'll pass someone on the floor in a spacesuit, and once past, you are going to see a huge spaceship crashed into the center of the cave. You will need to go inside of the ship, all the way to the cockpit, and collect the 6th artifact piece. You will also find the golden armor on this body, so grab it if you need it. Now this is the easiest piece to get your hands on, as the giant glowing blue crackling lightning from the sky is a very easy marker to follow. Remember that in order to see these lights protruding from the ground in the first place, you will have had to complete the game, beat the final boss, and then chose to stay on the island. Follow the blue lights up to the huge hole in the earth where the light is coming from, and take the rope down. Once at the end of the rope, simply follow this long winding pathway downward until you come to the source of the blue lightning and pick up that final piece. Congratulations! We have just gotten all of the pieces we need to craft the artifact. Crafting the artifact is as easy as it gets. Just like everything else in the game, you're going to add it to the crafting area in the center of your inventory, and select the gear once all 7 pieces are in the middle. The artifact will assemble on its own, and now it is ready to use. You will need Solifite to use this artifact, but once you have it, the artifact can do 3 things once reloaded. It can ward off enemies, just like the cross and other wards do, turn furniture and other items into pure gold by draping it in Solifite, or, the best yet, teleport you to areas you've crafted a Telepad at. To get the Telepad blueprint, you will need to head here on the GPS and here on the large-scale map. This is the furthest south point of the map, and you will find a hole in the ground with a rope dangling down. Take the rope and follow the very short path until you hit the fork. Make a right, and right here next to some bones and other things on the ground will be the teleportation pad blueprint. The artifact has 2 modes. To toggle the different modes for the artifact, you must look towards it and then select R on PC when you see toggle mode appear on the screen. When open like this and widened, it will turn things into gold by draping them in Solifite. When you are close enough to them, you'll see it kind of interacting with the object it can turn into Solifite by little lightning crackles. Just use the interact button and it'll do its thing on its own. When it looks more open, it will teleport you to any telepad that you currently have activated, like this. That's going to do it for this extensive guide on the artifact in Sons of the Forest. For more, head on over to our growing wiki pages, and as always, for all things gaming, stick with IGN.